There's a guaranteed way to make some serious profit, and I'm going to let you in on the secret. Let's data dive. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Data Dive powered by Market Movers. My name is Tyler Nethercott, better known as Teapot. And you know, I get a lot of questions about why should someone use Market Movers versus just searching on eBay or using any number of other free tools out there on the internet. And I know that some of you feel like this tends to be an infomercial sometimes. You say, stop talking about Market Movers and just give us the data. But that's my job. I work for this company. This is the product that helps pay my paycheck. And selfishly, I work here. I get the privilege of working with cards every day because my team has built, in my opinion, indisputably the best sports card analytics tool available. And so what I'm going to show you today is going to prove why having a Market Movers membership can pay for itself many times over, and in some cases with a single card. So without further ado, let's just get into the data. All right, so what I'm pulling up here is our intelligence ratio reports. Our intelligence reports, you know that I'm kind of a data nerd. I love to get into the numbers and make price comparisons. And this is one of the tools that's available for our unlimited members. This is an awesome, awesome feature. You have some different options when you log into the intelligence reports. You have grade ratios, variation ratios, and player ratios. Essentially what this is doing is it's a way to compare cards where all things are constant except for one variable. So in the case of grade ratios, I'm comparing PSA 10s and BGS 9.5 cards for Michael Jordan, and I selected all of these years from 1986 all the way up to like 1998, okay? And I'm comparing his PSA 10s to his BGS 9.5s of the same card. You can do the same thing with variations. You can compare Prism Silvers to Prism Base, or you can do it with players and compare all of Zion Williamson's cards to all of Ja Morant's cards. I've done this in the past. The grade ratio one is a really, really interesting one, and why is it interesting? This is where there's money-making opportunity. I pulled this up, and I'm looking at the last 30 days here. And the nice thing about this is going to show you the average price point over that time frame. You can do it by 7 days, 14 days, 30 days. 30 is going to give you the biggest data set. And this is going to compare the prices over that time frame for these same cards. And right off the bat, what this is showing you, sorted from greatest to least, is the card where the PSA 10 multiplier to the BGS 9.5 is the highest. And you can see it says outlier. Why is it an outlier? Because across this entire data set, if I scroll down, and there's quite a few cards on here, you can see I've got it filtered to 80. I'm going down, 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 right? It's taking an average here of 2 and a standard deviation of 0.7, and it's looking beyond that for outliers. So one standard deviation from the mean being in what we determine to be an outlier. So here, 4.454x for a PSA 10 of the same card in a BGS 9.5. And these cards sold within 2 days of each other, a couple of days. $14,500 for the PSA 10 Michael Jordan, 3.2K for the BGS 9.5. So you're saying, Tyler, okay, where's the money to make on this, right? If I buy the BGS 9.5, it's always gonna sell low. If I buy the PSA 10, okay, it's always gonna sell high. Where do I make the money? You buy the BGS 9.5, you watch a great video, and we've got some of them on how to crack a card out of a slab, and then you send it to PSA. This is a controversial tactic, but I know many of you do this. I know many of you are aware. This is where this report, this data can help you easily identify these cards and which ones are selling for well below comps. And you can click on this. It's going to compare both of these prices of cards for you in price. You can go over different time frames, and you can see very consistently is this BGS 9.5 selling for low, 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 low. Now, this does look like a potential price outlier, albeit maybe a real sale. Sometimes these are inauthentic. We do our best to review these outliers. We only remove the ones that we're very confident are not real sales. As a kind of an add-on to that, we do automatically take out the cards that have zero buyer feedback from eBay, because those are the ones that tend to be the most commonly shilled. You have an option in the charts to turn that back on so that you can see all of those data points if you want to. But we tend to be pretty liberal with the data that we're showing you so that you have access to all of it and can make a decision yourself. But when you look at this card, even if you come back here, right, it's still at 7.2K. So even if this last sale was a major outlier at 14.5K, you have this 7,000, 7,000, okay? All the while, the BGS 9.5 selling for around $3,000. You find a nice looking copy, one that isn't super yellowed, one that has good subgrades, and you crack it and you send it to PSA. Now, what do I mean when I say good subgrades? Everybody knows PSA tends to be a little bit easier on centering. They're a little more forgiving. BGS has their 4 subgrades, and if you have a bad centering, it's automatically going to bring the grade down. You know, you can't have a grade like, you couldn't have a BGS 9.5 with 8.5 centering. You can only go a half grade up from the lowest grade. So that's kind of how BGS grades, and that's what people look for. They're looking for those opportunities. You find good subgrades and you crack it and you send it to PSA. And if I scroll down this list, you can see there's quite a few cards like this. I mean, even in most cases, if you're talking about a 1.5x multiplier, if the value of the card is high enough, then it's worth cracking and sending to PSA. Now here's an interesting one, right? We've got Jordan's Fleer PSA 10 to BGS 9.5. I can tell you right now, I'm gonna jump over and show you this chart. The BGS 9.5, it's all about the subgrades on the higher end cards, on like the Fleer Jordan Rookie. And what do I mean by that? I'm gonna scroll down and show you the completed sales here. And guys, by the way, big announcement here. As just an aside right now, we now have all of PWCC's data, all of Golden Auctions data in our database. We've loaded it. We're loading even more historical data. We're gonna have that going forward. So cards like this Jordan, as well as many other high-end cards that we will be adding now, will have those sales being tracked in Market Movers. And in this case, you can see this card literally sold for $55,000 on March 16th, whereas it sold for $29,000 on Golden Auctions just a day before. And you say, well, that must mean PWCC is commanding a serious premium. Well, if I click out on this card and I go to PWCC's website, you can see that the subgrades on this card, 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, 10. Talk about a great candidate to send to PSA if you bought this card, and I'd be curious if the person who bought it would do that. Whereas if I come back here and I click on the one at Golden Auctions, you can see here the subgrades: centering 9, edges 9.5, corners 9.5, 9.5. Believe it or not, this also might be a very strong candidate to send to PSA at an even more of a discount. Even if this card comes back and gets a PSA 9, you might not be out that much money at $29,000. In fact, let's go back and see. If I click over here and I go to PSA 9, right? Last sale, $16,000, $18,000. So you're taking a gamble, right? You're taking potentially a $10,000 gamble. Don't do this if you don't have that money to lose. But the upside is absolutely massive. If I click on the PSA 10, you can see that the last sale of that card was $130,000. So you're gonna have a huge upcharge from PSA if you send them a card and it gets a 10, PSA 10. It's also very tough. There's some people who speculate that PSA 10s, that PSA might be reluctant to give out 10s on the Jordan Fleer cards in particular. But again, really strong subgrades from a very reputable company where the brand disconnect has just happened and the cards could be identical between the two slabs. Let's go back and look at another example with Jordan. And this is his 1993 Fleer Ultra famous nicknames, okay? I pulled up 4 grades. Now the BGS 9.5, it hasn't sold in quite a while, okay? So you have the PSA 10 that sold for $550. You have the PSA 9 that sold for $77 and the BGS 9 that sold for $57. So the disconnect between BGS 9 and PSA 9 isn't nearly what BGS 9.5 is to PSA 10 because there's that perception, right? Even though you have BGS saying, this is our gem mint grade, the card still is, selling for a significant discount. So $550 for a PSA 10. If I go over to eBay, as of the time of recording this video, this card is on auction with 12 hours left for $140. It's selling for $140 at this moment. Let's look at the subgrades. Okay, centering 9.5, corners 9. So you want to be careful with that because PSA will ding you for those corners. If it has a soft corner, they will potentially drop you down to a PSA 9 on that card. So you want to kind of make that decision. But if this card's going to end at $280, even $300 for a BGS 9.5, when the PSA 10 is selling for $550, again, you do enough of those. If you just buy one, it might be tough, but if you do enough of those, and you crack and cross, and you hit on a gem rate of 50% on these cards, your payday is going to be much bigger than your downside, because the gap right now between BGS 9.5 and PSA 10 in many cases is much bigger than it is between a BGS 9.5 to a PSA 9. So we'll see what happens. It could be a big payday. In this case, it might be roughly the same upside, downside. Let's jump over and let's look at another example here. I'm gonna go over to baseball. Baseball's super hot right now. And again, what I did here, I threw in a whole bunch of players' names. Okay, PSA 10 to BGS 9.5, and all these different years going back to their rookie years. And then I simply checked on the rookie card only box here, and I'm looking at all these players' rookie cards. So Trey Turner, super hot right now, had an awesome World Baseball Classic. Unfortunately came up just short, even in spite of hitting a home run last night against Japan. And this is his Prism Refractor, Pop 107 for the PSA 10. Sold for $141 on March 21st. Now, there is a month difference here. So this is what you have to be mindful of. You can use all the different data points, right? You can go into price movements and see how Trey Turner's card's been moving. But this is an average. $36 a month ago for the BGS 9.5. You got a Juan Soto here, silver pack, $236 for his PSA 10, $68 for his BGS 9.5. And these sold within 4 days of each other. So you can go down here and just keep scrolling, and what you're looking for is the trend. You're not looking for the one-off where it doesn't help you if that card is the only one that sold, but you're looking for last comps. If you're going to a big trade show, go target BGS cards, BGS 9.5s, and you can talk to the dealer and say, well, looks like last comp on this sold for $68. Get some wiggle room, take it over, crack it, cross it over to PSA if it's got good subgrades. Jumping over, I know hockey doesn't always get the love it deserves. For my hockey fans, shout out to all of you. And, again, I put in the Young Guns, same thing. This is really powerful information. 2001 all the way up to 2023, it picked all the upper deck hockey years and clicked on rookie card only. These are gonna be all the Young Guns cards, okay? John Tavares, 4.43 ratio. There was only a 2-week gap, and it's not like his cards are like super crazy right now, right? He's a 2009 rookie. Ryan Getzlaf, $170 versus $47, and you can keep scrolling down. And if you have this opportunity, you come across these BGS 9.5s, so what I would do, if there's a player you're targeting and you're high on, or a big person, you just save your eBay search. You go to eBay, you put in their name, you put in BGS 9.5, and you save the search, and you just wait. And you watch the ones that are ending, especially on auction every night, because those are typically gonna be the ones that end at a more reasonable price than the buy it nows. So let's jump over and look. This is the last thing that I wanna show you, because I know some people might ask this question. Okay, so you're talking about BGS 9.5. Should I not send my cards to BGS? Well, you always have the upside potential with BGS of the pristine and of the illustrious black label. So PSA doesn't have that. They don't have anything higher than a PSA 10. If you send them to BGS, you have that chance. Very, very low percentage chance. In fact, it's like 0.4%, 0.6% to get a black label, sometimes less than that on certain cards. But the multipliers are definitely there. Almost to the point where you say, have we lost our minds? A half subgrade on 4 different things is really the difference between sometimes thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars for high-end cards, or many, many multiples over. Take, for example, this Chuma Okiki, okay? He's not exactly lighting the world on fire. $86 for his BGS 10 Pristine Blue 199 Rookie Prism. $12 for the PSA 10. That's a massive multiplier, 7.37x. I don't really know why someone would pay $86 for that card. Even if they're a collector, you could literally have the same identical card with probably no discernible eye appeal difference whatsoever for a fraction of the cost. The Kobe White Silver Prism, 5.63x. Again, here's a guy that's really disappointed relative to expectations. These cards sold within a few days of each other. $100 versus $18. I would not be putting my money into these BGS 10 Pristines of these guys who are frankly fizzling out. Even if we scroll down and we look at a guy like Jason Tatum, it's this, in my opinion, it's artificial scarcity at this point. These cards, I personally wouldn't pay for it. Even if you have all the money in the world, you have some kind of a cap on what you're spending. You could go out and get this Tatum card for $209, plus 3-4 other probably cool Tatum rookie cards in a PSA 9 or 10 for the same price as this one BGS 10, base Prism card. That's not the path that I would be going down and spending my money on. But if you want to get your cards graded, you do have that upside. Let's look at the last thing here. Barely any of these sell, okay? I had to actually go to this current tab for BGS 10 black labels. Barely any of these sell. But when they do, man, do they go for a lot of money. This is Zion Williamson's 2019 Prism base card, okay? Keep in mind, I believe to date, this is still the single card with the highest number of PSA 10s in existence. 22,624 PSA 10s and counting, presumably, for this card. As a PSA 10, it sells for $90.50. This is a few years ago, okay? This was still kind of when things were really, really crazy in the market and were coming down. So this card would not sell for this today. But back in August of 2021, this card sold for $15,000, a base Prism card. You can go back. Let's go back in time and let's look, if we go back 2 years, and here's when that card last sold, okay? So it was $15,000 versus $408 for the PSA 10. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Don't pay that kind of a premium for that type of a card. It just doesn't add up to me. And you see that the multiplier here in all these cards. Again, time frames are going to vary a lot. In some cases, it's a year, 2 years. But you can use this to sort of get a sense and say, okay, some of these, like this one sold in May of last year, selling for $78 here. You're going to pay $3.6K for a second-year Lucas Silver because it's a black label. When you could go out and get a downtown, a Panini 1-in-1 downtown. There's so many cards you could get. You could get a really cool colored, rookie card of Luka in a PSA 9 or the silver black label. There's the upside. Overall, I think these differences between things that in most cases, 99% of people could not tell the difference of, even if they were looking up close at the card, let alone if it's on a display shelf or somewhere else or just showing off to people. And it's the difference between thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. I think we've got to stop the insanity. At the same time, there is a massive arbitrage opportunity here for some of these, especially in that PSA 10 to BGS 9.5 or PSA 10 to SGC 10 or PSA 10 to CSG 10 and 9.5. If you can get these cards to get the bump, you might as well go for it. So what do you think? Has the premium for PSA 10s reached the point of absurdity? Have you had any success with a Kraken cross? Would you give it a shot? I know of countless examples where people have cracked these types of cards and come back with big, big returns. So let me know down in the comments. And as always, this video is brought to you by Market Movers with an infinite number of ratio comparison possibilities. Visit marketmoversapp.com. Use promo code DIVE for your first 7 days free. Support me, support our company. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, happy investing, keep on collecting, and make sure to have fun.